The simplest anchor you can build is just called a simple wrap. You're literally taking your webbing around like your tree trunk or around a boulder, whatever, and then you're going to do your water knot. So we're just doing a flat overhand, like so. And then we're gonna take our other, and you wanna just keep like your webbing nice and flat and smooth. And then you're gonna take your other ends and you're gonna follow through. So. So you should have, it's called like a bow tie. And you can pull it tight, dress it up really nice, keep it nice again, flat like that. So you should have two short tails, one coming out on opposite sides, and then it's creating a nice big loop. Okay, and then you don't want your knot down here where the repeat's gonna be. You want it out of the way, so you can put it right here. Just to the side, either side. You can also have it back and behind, just as long as it's able to be visually inspected. Does everyone know what kind of webbing you use canyoneering?
What color you mean?
Like what kind?
Totally tubular.
Tubular.
Yeah. Yeah, 1 inch tubular webbing. And what's the like breaking strength? Do you guys know?
2,000 pounds.
20 kilonewtons or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Yeah, 4,000 pounds.
Is it 4?
So even just a simple wrap, right, is really, really strong. But what's something that, like, what's a con to this? What would be a con?
If it breaks, you are.
There's no contingency.
Yeah, it's not redundant. So if you're if it's around something really sharp and you're really worried, then maybe this isn't the right anchor to use, right? But a lot of times this is great. This is all you need. It was really fast, and it didn't use. Depending on the size of the object, it doesn't use a ton of webbing. 2, pull 1, and so again we have our piece of webbing around the object, but then we're just going to go around it one more time.
And you're crossing it or no?
And you just want to keep it all nice and flat. Okay? And then we're doing the same thing. We're going to do our flat overhand, water knot, bend, and follow that all the way through again. Again, we're gonna do those tails coming out opposite, those short tails coming out opposite, giving us a nice bow tie, right?
Then you pull the slack. Wrap 2, pull 3.
This is wrap 2, pull 1.
Pull 1. Wrap 2, pull 1. Cool.
And you can have the knot in front or behind. Again, when it's next to the object like that, it's actually the friction is taking off some of the pressure on the knot. And if it's like right here, you can just see it, right? It's really nice to inspect. But again, it could also be on the back. And then you put your repeat down here.
Nice.
We're gonna, again, start the same way as we did with the wrap 2, pull 1. We're gonna go around. That's our wrap 2, pull 1, but now we're gonna go around a third time.
So you guys see how we have 3 pieces right here?
And then again, we're doing our same water knot connection. Right?
Did you say waterman?
Yeah. Waterman, I like that.
Oh, I heard watermelon.
The watermelon.
Oh, watermelon sounds amazing right now.
Everyone hungry.
Totally.
Okay. So this one, wrap 3, pull 2. It's telling you what to do, right?
Right.
And again, the same thing. You can get that knot again, nice and like center. Come on, cooperate with me. you. Okay.
So do you guys want to try it? You have the opportunity like put this one and that one and maybe even three of them together. You can do the same way, but we've seen today in the canyon with
Okay, come
bolts.
over here. This would be good.
So yeah, Lindsay's gonna show you. what
Okay,
the point
so
is.
yeah, there either could be 2 bolts here, right? Or you can do this with trees or other objects. But you feed it through.
Through the bolts.
So pretend like this is a bolt. You're feeding this piece of webbing through both of those 2 bolts, right? Okay. And you're gonna start again, or around 2 trees. Like if you had 2 trees, you're feeding it around the 2 trees. And then you do your, again, we're connecting with our
Water knot.
water knot.
We love the water knot.
I love it.
Very useful knot, right?
So useful.
So the only knot you use with webbing
Not
is
the only
overhand.
So there are like different ways also to
Yep.
tie the water knot, and then there is a frost knot, but
Mm-hmm.
that's like more advanced skills. I just want you guys to know the basics for today because we learned a lot of stuff today. So I don't want to overwhelm you. So I just want you to know the basic things when you can come across.
Okay, so I got my piece connected. The important thing about this is you don't want the death triangle. So right
Right.
now there's this tension piece of webbing right between your 2 bolts or your 2 multi-point anchors, and you're gonna wanna grab that down.
So
Right
if
here.
you don't do that, okay, the forces are pulling your bolts towards to each other, right? And then you're pulling it down. So you're basically pulling this way and that way. And most likely one of those bolts is gonna fall. So
Yeah,
to
that's a lot
avoid
of
that,
force.
you have to make sure you pull the middle part down. That's why this is called American triangle. It's a death triangle, right? Sorry.
So-
But that's very popular in America. Yes, it's a death triangle. Sorry, I take it back. Okay, so it's the death triangle, yes. So that's why you want to make sure you pull that from the top and make it here.
Okay.
And then you add another
With the
bite.
repeat right here, is it redundant?
No.
Because what would happen if
Any
one of the bolts
one of them-
fails?
Anyone went, well, okay, if one of the bolts fail and the other ones, yes, it's redundant that way. I was thinking if the rope.
No,
No, it's not redundant.
If this falls right now, then I would
And the
slip through
repeat
that.
goes-
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
So you have to tie
Yeah.
that knot
Okay,
at
I
the
see
end.
it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I see it now.
You will just die.
Yeah.
You die.
Yeah, there's like, if the bolt falls, then you just die. That's good as
So
a dead
again,
person.
we're adding this knot, right?
So now we're doing the overhang, and that adds redundancy right now.
Okay.
So
So now
remember,
if this one snaps.
if this one snaps,
Yeah.
we're
We're
still
good.
hanging on that
Yeah.
one, right? You're gonna have like the small shift towards to the side, obviously, but that's not gonna be much.
Make decisions, I guess, about anchors and what anchor we need and what's important. So the first, does anyone know what the E stands for?
Equal.
Equal.
Equalize.
Equalize.
Okay, so especially where it's like we've got this anchor, like this anchor point and this anchor point, are both of them tensioned? Are both of them holding the weight, right? Because if I'm repelling this way, what happens?
Yeah, not equal
Now
anymore.
all my weight is just on this bolt or this tree. This is slack. Okay, so that's why it's very important where you place this knot. It needs to be in the direction of the rappel. Because if it's not, then now all the force is just on one. So equalize.
Yeah. So what if the first person goes down, and I know that my anchor was like that when the person was going down? What would you do?
Fix it.
Yeah, you have to retie that.
Yep, just
Yes.
take off that knot and retie it.
Yeah.
So you'd have to pull the rope up.
Yeah, so like let's can we see what that looks like though? Like if it all is all of a sudden it's like, oh, it needs to be way over there to redo the knot. What does that? You just stand there and pull and retie.
So you'd pull up the rope and redo
So
it.
right here, if this is where my rappel is, this is where I grab it and tie the knot.
Yeah,
it's
so,
over here-
so basically you are right. You have to pull. If you can undo the quick link and have someone to hold it, you can just retie that and put the quick link back with
Okay.
the rope. But if you don't, then you have to.
So
pull
now
it
your
off.
anchor is good here,
Okay.
but if we go back over here, it's not
Yeah,
good anymore,
yeah,
right? So it's just
So-
where you tie it. Okay, what about A?
EARNEST, it's E-A.
Angle.
Yeah.
Angle.
Yes. So what about the angle?
That's the correct.
Well, so if it's real wide, that's not as good, I guess.
We're
As
gonna
far
be
as
pulling the bolts inside again,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's like closer is better.
Yeah.
So like
Like how
30,
close?
30 degrees or
Yeah.
so. I mean, I think it's like less than 45 for
30,
sure,
yes,
but 30
yeah.
degrees.
So if the bolts are far apart, you want a longer webbing.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yep. So you might have
So
to
this
use
is your
longer webbing.
idea of like measuring.
I'm
the
always like,
pieces.
is it a peace sign or less?
Yeah.
Because you can have it really less, that's fine. But it's when it gets wide, you know. And this isn't a good example because they're close together. But when
Yeah,
your tree's
those
over
two.
here and your other tree's over here, you're gonna need a huge piece of webbing to
Yeah,
make that
yeah.
angle good. And if you like Google forces on angles, it's crazy how it widens. It puts hundreds of percent extra force. Like you're making that repeller suddenly weigh like 600 pounds. Like
Yeah.
it's
Wow.
wild how much it exponentially increases the force.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so remember this is just safe when you're doing the anchor. Okay, what's the next?
Redundant.
Yes, redundant. We already talked about the redundancy, right? About making a knot to
Yep.
make it redundant. Okay, what's the next?
And not every anchor you need to be redundant, right? So that you're choosing. Does this anchor need redundancy or not? Because you're not going to need it all.
Because remember, if you do the redundancy, are we still equalize? Like if there's like different angles of it, so I cannot take a different angle, right? But if I don't make an equalize at this moment, it's not redundant, right? So sometimes you have to choose your battle.
Right.
It depends on the rappel, like how the rappel goes, you know. If it's like very narrow, so I know it's gonna be, you know, I will make it redundant. But if it's like very wide, then maybe it's worth to make an equalize because I will have to keep retying it wherever the person goes, you know. So you have to choose your battle always. That's why we
Yeah.
always say in depends, you know.
Yeah,
It
because
depends.
you're not going to necessarily, like all these parts of earnest, all these letters, you're not going to have an anchor that hits
It's
all
perfect,
of them.
yeah.
So you're going to have to decide, oh, equalize is important, angle is important, or like you're going to have to pick which ones are important for your rappel. And then, let's see, B-A-R.
In.
N-E.
No.
N-E?
I
Yeah,
see.
N-E, yeah. No extension.
No extension.
No extension. So basically, remember, like I was like saying, like if you do the overhang right here, and we just like lose one, so we will just slightly shift to the side, but it's not gonna be much of extension. But if the both will be like that far, you will have the extension because you will swing from that side to like here. So probably you will drop like around 2 feet. And you can also like shock the anchor, the other anchor, right? So it's just always something to think about. So the extension, it means like if one side like drops, how much you're gonna extend? Is it like significant, or it's
So
just
with
like
that, not in there, this one pops, again, not going to be super significant, right? But we just had it like that.
Yeah.
It would.
So you want to go for less extension.
yes,
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
If you only can, yes, less. So the longer you webbing you add, then you are automatically adding less extension, right? Because if the bolt's gonna be like this, and you have the anchor right here, you're gonna swing to the side. But if the bolt's gonna be like this, and your anchor is gonna be tight right here, are you gonna swing far?
Yeah.
No, right? So it's a difference, right? That's why we want this big shape if we can. Okay, no extension, earnest, S. Strong, yes. So like I was telling you before, like when you get to the bolts, you guys remember how to check the bolts, check the screws, check if they are moving around. You can take the carabiner, knock around if it's hollow or it's not, and yeah, so you will check how strong your anchor is or how strong your tree is. You know, like I said, we talk about the tree. So everyone around 6 inches, we want to make sure the tree is alive, it's green, and we want to make sure that the roots are inside, not outside. Okay, they are rooted. Yes. So strong, and the last letter is earnest. What is the last
T.
letter? T. What T stands for? Timely. Yes. So we don't want to spend half a day on rigging an anchor because we actually want to finish the rappels and get out of the canyon, right? So you just want to, you look for a place where it's the most accessible and you just are very time on it.
And you don't need to build a huge, crazy, complicated anchor. A lot of times you can just use something simple. So go for like the simplest thing that is safe in that scenario. You don't need to do something complex.
Yeah.
And the other thing I feel like with Timely, because time is so important in a canyon. When you come up to an anchor, don't sit and debate, oh, should we redo it? Should we not? Should we redo it? Like, just make a decision. If you question anything about that anchor, just cut it off and build your own. That's going to take less time than sitting there debating it for forever, you know? So
Just send the person you don't like.
there you go. There you go.
So we talked about 30 degrees. If you have an anchor here, tree, you have a tree over here. So when you bring it together, it's not going to be 30 degrees. Right?
You just need
You
an
have to-
enormous piece of
Yes.
webbing.
So you just have to make it longer
Yes.
to make it 30.
So if you have to add few pieces together, that's what you're gonna do if you don't have that
So you have to
long
really
webbing.
bring it.
Yes. So you want to be somewhere between 30 to 45
I
degree
see.
anchor, and that's what you want to aim for. It doesn't matter how wide they are. That's where you have to be. So like you figure it out, like what you want to choose for your anchor. I know it's a lot of webbing.